The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins is not just a detective story about a disappearance. It's a deep dive into the dark corners of the human psyche, an exploration of memory, addiction, and manipulation. The book offers a captivating journey through the prism of 3 female voices, each revealing their part of the puzzle, gradually painting a shocking truth. 1. Main characters, delving into their worlds. The key to understanding The Girl on the Train lies in the depth of its characters, each of whom is an unreliable narrator in their own way, immersed in their own illusions, pain, and secrets. 1.1. Rachel Watson, Fragments of Memory and the Fight Against Addiction. Rachel is the central figure of the narrative. Her pain and despair permeate every page. Her life is shattered after her divorce from Tom. This event becomes the catalyst for her alcoholism, which in turn causes memory blackouts, black holes, that render her unable to distinguish between reality and her own fantasies. Psychological state: Rachel is in deep depression. She is obsessed with the past, particularly her marriage, and Tom's swift creation of a new family with Anna. Her self-esteem is completely shattered. She feels worthless, unable to control her own life. Alcohol for her is not just an escape from pain, but also a kind of shield behind which her inadequacy and traumas hide. Routine and observation. Daily train rides are her ritual, her escape from reality. She imagines the ideal life of Jess and Jason, Megan and Scott, as a contrast to her own destructive existence. This illusion becomes her only support until she sees something that shatters her perception of others' happiness. Unreliable narrator. Rachel is the quintessential unreliable narrator. Her memories are fragmented, distorted by alcohol and trauma. She doubts herself, what she saw, and even her own sanity, as Tom constantly convinced her that she was crazy. This uncertainty keeps the reader in constant suspense, making them doubt along with her. Path to truth. Rachel's struggle to regain her memory is not only an attempt to solve a crime, but also a path to self-discovery and liberation from Tom's manipulations. Her intuition, though suppressed by alcohol, ultimately leads her to the right track. 1.2. Megan Hipwell, Double Life and Hidden Traumas. Megan is the victim around whose disappearance the plot unfolds, but her story is far more complex than it initially seems. She embodies the illusion of an ideal life that so attracted Rachel. Complex personality Megan is not just an unhappy wife. She suffers from deep psychological traumas stemming from childhood, the death of her brother, which she believes is her fault, the secret about her daughter. These traumas force her to constantly seek escape and self-affirmation, often through infidelity. She cannot find peace, constantly searching for something that could fill her inner void. Search for identity. Megan changes jobs, seeks new partners, but cannot find herself. Her relationships with various men, Scott, Kamal, Tom, are attempts to find stability or validation of her own worth, which invariably end in disappointment. Secrets and lies. Megan's life is riddled with secrets. She conceals her past, her betrayals, her true feelings. Even her sessions with the psychotherapist, Dr. Abdick, become another form of escape and a breach of professional ethics. Her secrets create an atmosphere of mystery around her disappearance. 1.3. Tom Watson, Master of Manipulation and Psychological Abuser. Tom is the embodiment of evil, hidden behind a facade of charm and normalcy. He is the true antagonist, whose actions are the cause of suffering for all the women in his life. Narcissism and manipulation. Tom is a classic narcissist and psychological abuser. He masterfully manipulates people, especially women, making them doubt themselves and their own sanity. He exploited Rachel, constantly blaming her for alcoholism and aggressive behavior, although he himself was the source of her problems. Double life. Tom leads a double life, betraying both Rachel and Anna. He is capable of maintaining facades of normalcy, hiding his cruelty and unscrupulousness. Motive for murder. His motive for killing Megan is not merely to conceal an affair. It's the fear of losing control over his ideal life with Anna and their daughter. Megan's pregnancy poses a direct threat to his carefully constructed lies, and he stops at nothing to eliminate her. 1.4. Anna Watson, From Hostility to Realization. Anna is Tom's new wife, initially presented as his victim from the, quote, Psychopath X. Her view of Rachel is filled with contempt and fear, blindness and deception. Anna was blinded by Tom's charm and long failed to notice his true nature. She believed his stories about the crazy Rachel and considered her the source of all their problems. Awakening. Gradually, through interaction with Rachel and her own observations of Tom's behavior, Anna begins to realize the truth. This process is painful, but necessary for her liberation. Strength and solidarity. In the finale, Anna demonstrates unexpected strength and determination, uniting with Rachel against Tom. Her actions in the climax are the culmination of her awakening and show that even victims can become strong. 2. Plot twists. Untangling the labyrinth of deception. The plot of The Girl on the Train is structured like a complex puzzle, where each new piece changes the overall picture. 2.1. Initial intrigue, disappearance in Rachel's memories. Train observations. The book begins with Rachel's daily routine and her ideal observations of Megan and Scott. When she sees Megan with another man, it becomes the first crack in her illusions. Megan's disappearance, news of Megan's disappearance, comes as a shock. For Rachel, it's not just a criminal event, but a personal tragedy, as she feels a strange connection to the victim. Memory blackouts. On the night of Megan's disappearance, Rachel was heavily drunk and woke up with injuries, remembering nothing. These memory blackouts become the main obstacle to the investigation, but at the same time are the catalyst for her search for the truth. She remembers being in the area, but the details are blurred. 2.2. Growing suspicions and the search for truth. Contact with Scott. Rachel, driven by an inexplicable urge, approaches Scott, telling him what she saw Megan with another man. This step is a desperate attempt to fill the gaps in her own memory and find answers. Other suspects, the police focus on Scott, and then on Dr. Kamal Abdick, Megan's psychotherapist, with whom she had an affair. Rachel also saw him on the balcony with Megan, which intensifies suspicions. The author masterfully throws in red herrings, diverting attention from the real killer. Memory fragments. Gradually, Rachel begins to recall snippets of events from that night. Some of them relate to her former home, Tom and Anna. She remembers a conflict with Tom but cannot reconstruct the full picture. These memories are painful, but they are the only path to the truth. 2.3. Climax. Unveiling the truth about Tom. Megan and Tom's story. Through Megan's flashbacks, we learn that she had an affair with Tom. This is a shocking revelation for the reader, and later for Rachel and Anna. This connection reveals Tom's true nature. Rachel's memory restoration. Through conversations with various characters and her own efforts, Rachel finally remembers the crucial moment. She saw Tom with Megan on the night of her disappearance. She also remembers how Tom brutally treated her, how he manipulated her memory, and made her doubt her own sanity. Anna's realization. Anna, initially skeptical of Rachel, gradually begins to notice alarming details in Tom's behavior that align with Rachel's accounts. She realizes that her husband is a liar and a manipulator. Final confrontation. Rachel, armed with full memory, confronts Tom. He tries to strangle her to conceal the truth. At this critical moment, Anna, who came to Rachel's aid, kills Tom with a corkscrew. This is a symbolic resolution, where the women who were his victims unite and end his reign. 3. Thematic analysis. The deep layers of The Girl on the Train. Hawkins' novel transcends a simple detective story, delving into complex psychological and social themes. 3.1. Unreliability of memory and perception. Central theme. This is arguably the most important theme of the book. Rachel, an alcoholic, is a vivid example of how memory can be distorted. Her black holes in memory and distorted recollections are the driving force of the plot. Subjectivity. The book emphasizes that everyone sees the world through the prism of their own experiences, biases, and traumas. What Rachel, Anna, or Megan see is deeply subjective and often distorted. Memory manipulation. Tom masterfully manipulated Rachel's memory, making her doubt her own recollections and even her own sanity, which reflects the real mechanisms of psychological abuse, where the victim begins to believe the abuser more than themselves. 3.2. Alcoholism and its destructive consequences. Realistic portrayal. Hawkins does not romanticize alcoholism. She portrays it as a terrible disease that destroys Rachel's life, her relationships, her career, and her ability to function. Impact on life. Alcohol clouds Rachel's memory, makes her vulnerable to manipulation, and leads to her social isolation. It is also a source of her shame and guilt. Plot device. Rachel's alcoholism is not just a character trait, but also an important plot element that creates uncertainty and maintains intrigue. 3.3. Domestic violence and psychological abuse. Hidden form of violence. The book masterfully reveals that violence is not always physical. Tom's psychological and emotional abuse of Rachel, and other women, is just as destructive. He constantly belittles, manipulates, blames, and projects his own flaws onto her. Gaslighting. Tom uses the tactic of gaslighting, making Rachel doubt her own sanity and memory, which is a characteristic sign of abusive relationships. Secrecy and shame. Victims of abuse often feel ashamed to talk about their experience, or may not even realize they are victims. Rachel took a long time to grasp the full extent of Tom's cruelty. 3.4. Illusions and harsh reality. Idealization of others. Rachel creates an illusion of an ideal life for Megan and Scott, projecting her own aspirations for happiness onto them. This illusion shatters when she sees Megan with another man. Search for truth. The book shows how dangerous it is to live in a world of illusions and how important it is to confront the truth, even if it is painful. The shattering of Rachel's illusions is a catalyst for her own awakening and recovery. 3.5. Female solidarity. From rivalry to unity. At the beginning of the book, Rachel and Anna are rivals who hate each other because of Tom. However, in the finale, when they both realize who Tom truly is, they unite. This moment is a powerful symbol of female solidarity and resistance to violence. Strength in numbers. The book demonstrates that individually, women can be vulnerable, but by uniting, they are capable of confronting evil. 4. Writing style and narrative structure. Paula Hawkins uses masterful techniques to keep the reader in suspense. Multiple perspectives. The book is written from 3 different points of view: Rachel, Megan, Anna, each presented in the first person. This allows the reader to see events from different angles, form their own assumptions, and feel the psychological tension associated with the unreliability of the narrators. Non-linear narrative. The plot does not unfold linearly. The use of flashbacks, especially for Megan, and Rachel's fragmented memories, creates a sense of mystery and unpredictability. Atmosphere of anxiety. Hawkins masterfully creates a gloomy, anxious atmosphere, using the characters' internal monologues, their fears, paranoia, and despair. Simple but effective language. The writing style is quite simple and accessible, but at the same time very effective in conveying emotions and tension. The author does not overload the text with complex descriptions, focusing on the character's psychology and plot development. 5. Cultural significance and impact. The Girl on the Train instantly became a global phenomenon, topping bestseller lists. Genre popularity. The book contributed to the rise in popularity of the psychological thriller with an unreliable narrator genre, which subsequently spawned many imitators. Discussion of themes. It sparked widespread discussion of important themes such as alcoholism, domestic violence, and memory problems, drawing attention to these social issues. Adaptation. In 2016, the book was adapted into a film, further increasing its recognition. The film, although receiving mixed reviews, became an important milestone in popularizing the novel. Conclusion. The Girl on the Train is a masterfully constructed psychological thriller that not only captivates with its plot, but also makes the reader ponder complex questions of identity, memory, trust, and human nature. It is a story of how illusions shatter, revealing a terrible truth, and how, even in the deepest despair, one can find the strength to fight and recover. I hope this detailed summary has met your expectations and allowed you to see all the depths of this fascinating novel.